All right, let's dive right into this explainer. Today, we're unpacking a genuinely fascinating and honestly pretty chaotic behavioral case study. We're going to see exactly what happens when strict, unforgiving financial math collides head-on with some incredibly toxic relationship dynamics. We're looking at a deeply concerning financial audit of a couple, Titus and Beth. They are currently raising a 6-month-old child while trying to navigate extreme debt, hidden spending, and just zero communication. So let's look straight at the numbers and their documented behaviors to see exactly how a household actually reaches the breaking point.
To really make sense of this highly complex situation, we're going to break it down into 5 clear themes: income versus fixed expenses, the discretionary spending trap, toxic communication patterns, the unsustainability for a child, and finally, the harsh reality check.
Okay, part 1. Income versus fixed expenses, the baseline reality. Because before we can even begin to discuss where they're wasting money, we absolutely have to start with the objective math. What's actually coming in versus what strictly needs to go out just to keep a roof over their heads.
The immediate crisis here is just glaring. They've got a net monthly income of barely $2,400 from Titus's single job, and a staggering 60% of that is swallowed up by their $1,400 rent alone. I mean, in personal finance, your housing should ideally hover right around 30% of your take-home pay. At almost double that threshold, their baseline math is already screaming emergency.
So here's the truly terrifying part. Even before a single frivolous purchase is made, this couple is underwater by at least $700 every single month just trying to survive. Even when you factor in $400 of government assistance through food stamps, the absolute minimum survival needs for this family of 3 sit around $3,500. The math simply does not work.
And honestly, that harsh mathematical reality is perfectly reflected in their current bank account balance, which is sitting completely overdrawn at negative $35. They are literally out of money and structurally incapable of affording their current life on a single income.
Which leads us to part 2, the discretionary spending trap, or how micro-spending destroys the math. Because when your baseline is already underwater, every single discretionary dollar you spend is literally a dollar stolen straight from your own survival.
Even with eviction breathing down their necks, their microspending is just relentless. The source material documents an incredible array of non-essential expenses pulling from accounts that are already negative. We're talking digital subscriptions for AI companionship and video games, constant convenience food deliveries through DoorDash and Instacart, nonstop fast food runs, and shockingly, one partner is even consistently sending cash to an ex-partner. You really can't make this stuff up.
There's this massive disconnect between what is openly discussed during their budget conversations versus the hidden subscriptions that are silently draining their accounts. One partner actually claims, "I only pay for rent and gas." Yet the hidden reality reveals these silent drains: Xbox, Patreon, AI subscriptions, and mobile game microtransactions. This kind of secrecy completely shatters any chance of actually creating a functional household budget.
So, you might be wondering, how on earth haven't they ended up on the street yet with an overdrawn bank account and a $700 monthly deficit? Well, this brings us to a vital concept: financial enablement. The only reason they haven't totally collapsed is because their relatives, specifically mothers and grandmothers, are stepping in to pay the bills and phone plans. This external bailout is actively shielding them from the harsh reality of their own actions. Let's move into part 3, toxic communication patterns. Because money problems, they're almost never just about the math. They're almost always symptoms of much deeper behavioral and communication breakdowns. This is where things get really intense. Direct actions reveal a profound breakdown in trust and just a total absence of shared problem solving. In the source material, it's documented that during a pre-production phone call, one partner literally muted the other's phone to physically prevent them from telling the truth about an altercation and an ongoing subscription dispute. I mean, you simply cannot fix a household budget if you are literally silencing your teammate. Instead of tackling the debt head-on, their go-to coping mechanism is just checking out, retreating into digital simulations, and engaging in highly volatile arguments. The source documents moments of intense physical and emotional stress, including a high-risk pregnancy, where the coping mechanism of choice was hiding in AI fantasy chats rather than stepping up to provide support or tackle the absolute financial terror hanging over them.
It creates this brutal, toxic, endless loop. Financial stress hits, so they retreat into secrecy. Eventually, the hidden spending or that hidden debt gets discovered, which leads to explosive conflict and blame shifting.
And because the core issue is never actually resolved, they just cycle right back into avoidance, resulting in absolutely zero financial progress.
This brings us to the highest stakes part of this whole explainer. Part 4, unsustainability for a child. Because the consequences of these financial and behavioral loops are no longer just affecting 2 adults. They are actively dictating the environment and the security of a 6-month-old infant. We really have to step back and ask ourselves, when you mix this massive monthly deficit with constant secretive spending, what is the immediate threat to this child's security? A baby introduces huge fixed costs like formula, diapers, healthcare. They require absolute stability. And that stability is completely absent here.
The timeline we are looking at is incredibly bleak. Their savings buffer is practically gone, expected to hit absolute zero in maybe 1 to 3 months tops. On top of that, there's a totally ignored $73,000 student loan sitting in default. The government could step in literally at any moment and garnish up to 25% of their already insufficient income. Housing instability isn't just some vague risk here, it's a constant, looming threat.
Just look at the sheer velocity of this financial freefall. Pre-baby, they actually had a decent buffer of about $7,000 to $8,000. But due to job losses, emergency medical procedures, and an utter failure to adjust their discretionary spending, they have plummeted to near zero in just a matter of months. So what do we do about this? Part 5, the harsh reality check, and finding a path out of the chaos. We've seen the baseline deficit, the toxic microspending, and the looming threats. So what objective actions must be taken immediately to prevent a total household collapse? Well, looming over literally everything is that massive student loan balance, $73,458. This needs immediate action. They absolutely must enroll in a repayment assistance program, or RAP, to get those payments based on their income and, most importantly, prevent a devastating wage garnishment that would instantly put them out on the street. Here is the absolute strict, non-negotiable roadmap for their survival. Because that single income math is fundamentally broken, maximizing income by securing a second job isn't optional, it's mandatory. Furthermore, they have got to institute a total freeze on all discretionary spending. No AI apps, no fast food, no sending cash to exes. Finally, and this is crucial, they need complete, unmuted transparency across every single account. This right here is the final mathematical proof that their current single income setup is totally doomed. The income is nowhere near that minimum survival line. Without dramatic, immediate changes to both sides of this equation, failure isn't just a possibility here, it's a mathematical certainty. The ultimate takeaway from this explainer is pretty simple. True financial health needs 2 things. It needs the objective math to balance out, absolutely, but it also requires functional communication. You cannot out-earn a secretive spending habit, and you sure can't budget your way out of a deficit if you're constantly hiding the truth from your partner. When those external family bailouts inevitably stop, reality is going to hit extremely hard. I'm going to leave you with this final thought to chew on. In a household where the math is completely ignored and the truth is literally muted, who ultimately pays the price? When the safety net of those enabling family members vanishes, it's that 6-month-old child who bears the brunt of all these uncorrected behaviors. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer today. Keep analyzing, keep learning, and as always, keep the math honest.